Alright, I guess this is as ready as I'll ever be. Hello and welcome to my LostArk stream. This is, as far as I'm aware, the last day of the closed beta, which I've been pretty much wasting due to various unrelated reasons. But anyway, let's just begin with what we have right now. Oh, hello there. Uh, as the stream description implies, I've got a new headset because my old mic broke down, which also means that I'm not accustomed to the sound setting of this. So if anything sounds off, either with the mic or game sound, just let me know and I'll try to adjust it. Right, so with regards to playing Lost Ark, or in some ways the lack of playing it, I'll explain that a little bit later after I do this quest. So so far I've been proceeding with a quest with finding clues to find the lost Ark, which is some artifact that's going to help us defeat the demonic invasion. And in that process, we've met the prince of this kingdom, Sylphian. Wait, I forgot his name already. Probably mentioned here. Anyway, we helped the prince get back his throne, and I'll try to get up a video of a short version of what happened as well. But anyway, so now we've reached. Now that we're in what seems to be the capital of the players' activities, it seems like they also want me to try out the Colosseum. Ah, I see. Well, thanks for the heads up. Anyway, let's go on with the quest now. Oh, so they literally just wanted me to check the Colosseum, not actually enter and do something. Okay, I'm fine with that. Right, so apparently I'm supposed to encourage these cadets. So the player will go through experience quite a lot of quests where they're not asked to kill X number of Ys, but instead they would be asked to do some types of emotes in front of NPCs, or play something with their instrument and such. So I guess it's commendable in the way that they're trying to mix up the formula, but I'm afraid it doesn't really mix it up in a meaningful way. What am I supposed to do here? Nothing. One of the one of my main complaints about this game is that, well, something that's shared with a lot of others is that it takes so long to walk from one place to another, and the game sends you from one place to another so often that you waste so much time just running around. they've added mounts to the game so that running around the field, at least the time you run outside in the field is reduced somewhat. But even then, the speed is just grossly inadequate. And what makes it worse is that in towns you can't use the horse, and since your skills are locked as well, you can't use any mobility skills to go around. So you're basically limited to your evasion skill and plain running around again. And they've set their NPCs apart so far from each other. Okay, what am I supposed to do here? But other than that complaint, to be honest, I really can't find a lot to criticize. I mean, the graphics, as you can see here, are superb, and the combat so far, from what I've experienced, is interesting. I've certainly enjoyed it of what little I've been able to do between all the running. And the combo system they've added adds a nice mix to differentiate LostArk from Diablo, to avoid the Diablo clone accusations. The only catch here is that, just like all other games, MMOs that include combos, eventually all endgame bosses and monsters will have super armor, so it's just going to be reduced to firing and running away, just like Diablo 3, and the combos will probably just be reserved for PvP. Which is a shame because the combos here are pretty fun to use. I should probably add that it won't be a problem for people who enjoy exclusively PvP combat, of course. Oh, finally. Can I go kill something now? Ah, crap. I'll talk to him later. So yeah, since my character played a big role in reclaiming the castle, she's a big shot now. Everyone's calling her the King's Knight. So that's a nice addition with how the characters react to my character. Well, as far as I know, they did add a PvP later on, but yeah, in the beginning they didn't. I wonder if I can hide this. So in regards to the story, since I've helped the prince reclaim his palace again, palace and throne again, now he's helping me out to find the missing clues to find the lost ark. So the first course will be to find the descendants of the people who've built the king's tomb, where one of the important clues are rumored to be hidden. Huh. So one of our jobs right now is to get rid of the tax raise notifications that the previous forgot what I should previous advisor uh, who took over the throne had put up. So in regards to combat, I should probably mention character balance right now, which is completely bugged. The consistent problems throughout with balance throughout each stage of the closed beta is that melee characters always have a difficult time, and ranged characters are a lot better compared to the melee characters. Melee characters have a tougher time surviving and also have worse DPS output during raids. So that's been something that they've been trying to address. I mean, they've just straight out decreased the damage output for ranged characters for the final closed beta, but so far it doesn't seem to be doing any good because the shooter class and the mage's summoner class is currently still the best overpowered characters in the game. Two new additions have been added. The fighter's Soul Master, or should I call it Zen Master? Let's just call it Soul Master for now. And the shooter's Hawkeye, which is a archer class who also deploys a pet hawk, which is very similar to the hunter and sniper class in Ragnarok Online for anyone who've played it. The Hawkeye, on one hand, is one of the most OP characters in the game right now, and the Soul Master that I'm playing currently is sadly a completely broken class. Broken meaning that she is completely useless. I mean, she is a semi-ranged class, but her damage output is weaker compared to other ranged classes, and each subclass has their own unique trait that is signified in the middle of their user interface. The Soul Master's unique trait is that she can press the Z key to deplete an energy shard to completely recover her vigor and increase her attack speed, damage, and also decrease her cooldowns. And this can be used up to 3 times, which stack on top of each other. The problem is the bonus isn't that amazing, and after the bonus ends, she has a short period of being debuffed. So not only will she have lowered defense, but her damage output is temporarily decreased as well, which is kind of stupid because seeing how the basic concept of this trait works, she's supposed to become kind of like a glass cannon, so do some increased damage output and then suffer decreased defense. But if the debuff after the buff has damage decrease as well, then what's the point? And on top of that, all of her skills have like very long motions, so they get difficult to use against bosses with super armor. But everything that I've said up to now is irrelevant because she is a character that can kill things by finger gunning things. So yeah, there's that. Anyway, let's get back to the questing.
선조께서 남기신 기록을 살펴보려 하네. 금고 본의 아니게 엿듣게 되었습니다. 선조께서 금고에 남기신 기록을 찾으신
So yeah, you can have a lot of crappy points against your favor, but once you are a character who can just kind of dab and finger gun things to death, then all arguments against you are invalid. And this completed quest message is going to keep on bothering me. I'm just gonna make a quick trip back to Plaza over here and finish the quest so that I don't have to see this notification. Well, not exactly bullets, but let's just say small bursts of ki.
만나뵙게 되어 영광입니다.
And you might have noticed that she points upwards when using that skill, and fittingly, that attack does extra damage to airborne enemies, and also keeps them in the air, which is really useful. Which one should I put up? Man, I should use this when I'm fighting raid bosses. Larger pushback and useless. Yeah, I'll just go with added fire damage. Freezing. This might be useful for fighting normal monsters. I really hope they manage to fix the balance because besides being pretty much useless, I do enjoy of what I've experienced of playing with the Soul Master.
링컨 고려님이 최상급 농기구를 주문하신다고?
So yeah, she can keep them up in the air like that. If you use skills that do extra damage against airborne enemies, then it also extends the time that they're in air. Oh yeah, and another point against the Soul Master's favor is that her normal attack is very crappy, and it only gets better after the force hit, where she charges up and fires like this. But the problem is, as you can see, this takes forever, and it's very unrealistic to use against bosses consistently. See, I just fought for a very short amount of time, and now I'm running back again. All this distance, I mean, and this is one of the shorter travels that the game forces me to do.
어떤 놈들이 버리고 도망친 무기들입니다. 농가에서 쓸 수 있을까요?
And see, the horse's speed isn't that amazing either, but still, it's better than walking.
아닙니다. 차차차차. 앞도 있던 도련님께서 역시 보통 철이랑 색깔부터가 달라. 이거 저기
Can you customize your character or not? By customize, what kind of level of customization do you mean? Like, do you mean in character creation? Because if that's the case, then yes, you can customize facial features, a lot of the facial features of your characters and skin tone and skin moisture, but you can't customize any of the body proportions from as far as I am aware.
실리안 태양께서 오링턴 도련님께 이야기는 들었습니다. 영지를 둘러보신다고요? 형님이 이 선물을 보냈다고.
처음 뵙겠어요. 저는 귀수츠 로나울의 딸 엘리제라고요.
Skins. I haven't seen any evidence of the sort, but I'm pretty sure they're going to add it. I mean, it's such an important portion of revenue for freemium games. I very much doubt that there won't be any skins or armor sets to wear. Man, I mean, doing this stream and receiving questions regarding to this game just shows me how much I really haven't been reading up on this game. Is that her skin tone, or does she have some kind of white clothing on? Oh, that's her skin tone. Yeah, there's a skill, I mean, level cap and end game content to reflect that level cap. And from what I've heard, it used to take quite a while to reach the level cap in past stages of the closed beta, but for the final closed beta, it seems like they've increased the amount of experience granted from the main quest. So people are saying that you can just go through the main quest and eventually reach max level.
세금을 반으로 줄이라는 말인가? 이런 간기 같은 소식이 있나? 이제 좀 쉴 수 있겠군.
So this skill can trip down opponents. Right, that's nice to have. Guess I'll put this over here. Oops, wrong skill.
이제 좀 쉴 수 있겠군.
Yes, there are dungeons and raids, and also field bosses. Ah, darn it.
왕이 바뀌니 살이 좋아졌구먼.
No, I'm not in the starter zone. One of the things I think one of the things I can give to credit for this game is that each main class has a different starter area where it features their own story. So right now, I guess I could say I'm about halfway through the main story quest, at least what is revealed in the closed beta.
쉐리트 놈의 강포 때문에 이래도 남는 게 없었는데 새로운 폐하께선 이 마음을 잘 알아주시는구먼.
Gear. Well, I guess it's basically what you can expect from any game similar to Diablo 3. So you've got item level and stats and attributes that you can reset, reroll, and there's also some kind of like gem configuring system. What's this one? This thing is something that where I expect a lot of RNG to take place, and also expect them to add a lot of premium items to help your chances or give you additional tries or something of the sort. Other than that, I'm not really that informed yet. I've been pretty much just trying to go through the story quests as quickly as possible. Oh, the regular monsters are starting to put up a fight now, which is a good thing. I mean, the combo system didn't have much meaning when everything was dying in 1 or 2 hits. Yeah, actually I did try some of the PvP. Well, actually, I didn't intend to, but someone challenged me to a duel. Right, so where was I? Oh yeah, so yeah, someone challenged me to a duel, and it was pretty fun. I mean, even though I wasn't really prepared for it and my skills weren't properly set, I still was able to pull off some combos and some air combos and such. And the movement, and I think one of the good decisions they made with skills is that they've added a lot of projectile skills that move slowly, which makes it possible to just avoid by running away from it. So some degree of movement will be required, so that moving around will be encouraged more during PvP. Although both my opponent and I weren't doing enough damage to each other to uh, beat recovery from potions. So that's something they'll have to balance, or either that or make it so that potions don't work in duels. So yeah, the bottom line of my PvP experience was it was positive. Aside the problem that our damage wasn't overcoming potion recovery, but that's something that can be fixed by moving around numbers. So I'm not too worried about that part. I haven't played any other classes during this closed beta, but I was able to play the Arcana during the, I think it was the second closed beta. That one was pretty fun too, but unfortunately, even though it's a subclass of the mage class, it's pretty much a melee class. Kind of like think of the sorcerer in Black Desert. That should give you a good idea. Which again was a shame because she was pretty fun play. The other subclasses for the mage is the summoner, which is one of the super OP classes, and the bard, which is a support class. So they can do healing, but since this isn't a game that necessarily has a holy trinity, having a support isn't mandatory for dungeons. And from what I've heard from my friend who has experienced endgame content, he says that having a bard is good but not necessary. And another problem is that being a support class, the bard has horrible damage output, which makes it very difficult for her to do quests on her own. So yeah, I mean, with all that difficulty, she has to go through with a low damage output, not being that amazing in dungeons is pretty much a bummer. No, thankfully this account is mine. If this was my friend's account, then I would be able to show off some other characters as well. I believe he was playing Hawkeye. So I guess the bard healer are just for people who like to play as one. Then, yeah, in the current status, pretty much. Yeah, so it looks like we still have some rebels hiding out left from the previous conquest. That's by finger gunning. That's got to be demoralizing as far as NPC deaths goes. This is why I hate no team content, no support role. I make it online if it's a solo game. Yeah, that's one thing that I've been starting to think about. Just give me a second here. So, if you'll indulge me for a moment, one consistent problem that I find with Korean games is that they put a lot of effort into diversifying how their characters work. So, controlling characters in Korean games usually turn out to be a very high quality experience in my opinion. But the problem is that the same effort isn't afforded for monsters. So monsters tend to be very linear, and what that causes is that for PvE content, it doesn't really matter that the characters have different skill sets and playstyles, because since all the monsters act in the same fixed monetary method, then the reaction from players are the same as well. There's no variety there. Now, as an opposite example, let's put World of Warcraft, for example. The characters classes there are pretty much kind of like unified. I mean, sure, they do have like different flavors for each of their skills depending on classes, but if you really get to the core of their skills, then there's really a limited set of skills that a player can do regarding their own player character. Where the diversity comes for World of Warcraft is how the raids and dungeon bosses react. So since they have varied strategies and such, the characters, even though the toolset that the players have in regards of class is limited, the reactions that they have is different for each monster, and that in turn provides a more varied experience for grinding content for MMOs, which is pretty much mandatory. And one of the reasons why games like World of Warcraft are able to diversify the way monsters react is because of the Holy Trinity of tank, DPS, and healer. So if I'm to go back to my one of my main complaints for Black Desert, is that I shouldn't have been complaining about grinding, because I mean, in the end, that's basically what we play MMOs for the grind, to extend the playtime as long as possible. What I should have been complaining is that the grind in Black Desert, it's just so monotone and one direction. Again, that's another good example of Black Desert is another good example of characters having varied playstyles and skills, but that variety only matters for PvP. For PvE, since the monsters just go through the same reaction of just simply swarming the character in a single file, then no matter what kind of variety the character skills have, players will end up just using the same one or two combos against monsters, no matter where they hunt. And as far as grinding goes, that gets very painfully dull. So, doing dungeons and raids in World of Warcraft is just as much a grind as grinding monsters in the field in Black Desert as well. But the important difference is that the experience, the grinding experience in World of Warcraft provides more variety. And that's one of the concerns I have for Lost Ark. I think I'm going to mention this during my video for showing the quest for putting the prince back on this throne, but this is something that I've also mentioned in the second closed beta, is that Lost Ark has some very good visuals and presentations for events like characters riding a mine wagon to go on some like a roller coaster ride, or some impressive action cameras for certain cutscenes where your character will like slide down a train and ambush awaiting enemy forces and such. So all of those are very good, but the problem is that they're kind of unnecessary for an MMO. These kind of those stunts that I've mentioned earlier, those are only good, only provide a cool experience the first time you see it. And maybe if it was a single player game, then that would be enough. But the problem is, for MMOs, you just go through the main quest once, and it doesn't really take that long. Like maybe, let's just, to give a random example, just like maybe 20 hours or so, and after that, MMOs are meant to be played for hundreds, and in some cases thousands of hours. And from that point, it's just about the grind. So to make a good MMO experience, you have to add variety to what kind of grind the game provides for end game content. But Lost Ark seems to have put the wrong focus on trying to put on a good display and visuals and presentation and such, which it's only good for the first 20 hours or so. But after that, the remaining hundreds and hundreds of hours are to be spent on grinding raids and PvP content and such. But the problem, and as far as PvE content goes, I'm not seeing a lot of evidence to show that they're going to diversify our experience when fighting boss monsters.
뭐라고? 슈츠가? 이 많은 디오리카 사료를 보냈단 말이오? 성공하셨군요. 이제 비수초 삼촌의 마음을 돌리는 일만 남았습니다.
So yeah, to just summarize the long rant that I just had, I guess my main concern right now for Lost Ark is, I mean, yeah. So right now, I've a while ago I just complained that my main complaint is that I'm just spending too much time running and not enough time fighting. But that's just a problem that's going to be relevant while I do the main quest. Once I reach endgame, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be wasting so much time walking around, and I'm going to be spending most of my time fighting in raids and dungeons and such. But in regards to that, I don't really see much evidence of uh, the PvE content from the monster side providing much diversity, which is a consistent problem with all Korean MMOs. So yeah, kind of like what Lindsay is saying, I do think that no matter how bad it is, the grind will be more varied for Lost Ark than it is for Black Desert, because I mean, seriously, Black Desert has one of the most monotone grinding that I've ever seen, even for a Korean MMO.
몬테르크님께서 비슈추댁에 보낼 종말을 구하라 했다고요? 어머, 웬일이래?
I guess one thing that I can also add on in regards to being similar to Black Desert is that, I mean, yeah, sure, the visuals are very pretty and such, but when you're playing the game and fighting, the only thing you see are dots and lines. Lines representing your attack direction or the pathway to your objective and such, and dots will represent your character and monsters. You really don't see the environment or your character. I mean, even now, you really can't see the details of my character unless I zoom up like this. But, I mean, seriously, who's going to spend their time playing the game like this? Same goes for Black Desert, but for Black Desert, at least it's a open world game with nice looking environments, so you can like take screenshots from various angles and such. But in Lost Ark's case, you only have one fixed direction. So yeah, like there's not really much chance for variety in screenshot taking. Oh yeah, Savage Rift. I mean, as much as I complained about Black Desert's grind lacking variety, I just never, I just couldn't get myself sold on the concept.
이렇게 좋은 종말하니 어느 비문에 진 겁니까? 몬테르크 형님이? 작은 성명, 형님이 보낸 것이 맞고.
One thing that I find very regrettable to say is that, so I've mentioned that the game puts a lot of effort into presentation and showing cool stunts and such, and also in that regards, the game does put some effort into characterizing important NPCs and trying to tell the story and such, but it just doesn't grab me. I mean, I just can't get invested with the story that they're telling me. I mean, sure, there is some cool moments and such, but overall, I find my engagement with the story lacking. I mean, up until I met the prince, I didn't even realize he was supposed to be an important character, as I kind of like lost sight of what I was doing with my quest. I was just going through quest dialogue, skipping quest dialogue, and eventually I met the prince, and I didn't even know he was a prince because I wasn't reading anything, and I just figured out that he was an important character because some assassins were sent to kill him, and I had to protect him from that. So from that point, I'd start to kind of pay attention to what he was saying and doing, and then the game kind of threw some story event quests at me regarding his rise to power, and that eventually made me able to care about him some a bit more. But compared to the effort that they put into presenting the prince to me, it's the end result of my engagement to him is still lacking compared to how much effort they put, which again is a shame. I mean, after all the Korean MMOs I've played so far, I still find the characters from Closers to be the most engaging. And that has a kiddie anime story, which just makes which just makes the um, all the more embarrassing for the other games. Okay, let's do better this time. Ah, crap. Was that... Oh, there was a... Ah, crap. Keeps flinching me. I'm out of potions. Nice.
루테란의 수많은 기사들이 나와 뜻을 같이하여 왕의 무덤을 지키기로 하였다. 그들의 넋은 내가 만든 토병들의 깃들어 긴 세월을 나와 함께 견딜 것이다. 우리는 영광스러운 루테란 왕과 그가 짊어진 태초의 힘을 보호해야 한다. 언젠가 영웅의 노래가 울려 퍼지면 전설은 다시 부활하리라.
One thing I felt about Black Desert's story is that I don't think it's really that bad. I think it has some interesting points. The problem is that the game does a horrible job at storytelling. I mean, I think the game actually is one of those rare cases where it just makes the story experience even worse just by existing. I say this because I've actually have seen interesting aspects of the story during the short stories that the homepage. Darn it. Just give me a second. Right, so I don't think the story is really that bad. It's just that the game does a horrible job at telling the story, because there's a lot of elements regarding the war between Heidel and Calpheon that I found interesting, especially General Cliff, whose badass status is reinstated during the mobile game version of Black Desert as well. And that's where the problem arises, because the game does a worse job at storytelling even than a dull box of text. I mean, seriously, if they make a game centered around the premise of the war that Heidel and Calpheon had in the past, I think that would turn out to be interesting. Problem with that is that then they would, whoever develops this game will have to put some effort in creating meaningful monster designs, but you know, I know that's never going to be happening. I just wish Korean developers would eventually realize that no matter how much they diversify the characters, if they limit the interactions that they can have with monsters, then that will mean that even with that diverse toolset, players will be limited to limited reactions, because that's all that's needed to handle monsters with limited actions. Whereas even if your characters have more limited toolsets, if the monsters provide a more of varied attack patterns and actions, then even just by the basis of having to move around, then players will have more varied selection of actions to take. Oh, well, I'm glad that my input is helping someone. But as I always do, I mean, I still would like to give out a disclaimer that even though I am like ripping into the faults of the game, in no way do I think it's a bad game. In fact, what makes me even like more up, I mean, I guess upset is too strong of a word, but you get what I mean. But anyway, what really gets me is that for Lost Ark's case, the evidence that they've put into that they've been putting effort in is shows while playing the game, but it's just that all that effort just doesn't seem to hit the mark,
단서를 찾았군요. 로나는
which is a total shame.
지식이 곧 재산이랍니다.
Oh, and I've complained about this during the second closed beta as well, but I'm going to complain about it again. The pathfinding is still as fucked as ever. Even if I just get caught a little bit, even by a small portion of a corner, my movement skills are blocked. It's just stupid.
수건입니다. 성숙해 주십시오.
I mean, I like lore, but BD Black Desert Online load story is given incomplete. Sometimes I want to know more. It's just not given. Like, I want to know who made the tower close to Heidel, and all I know is it was a wizard. Yeah, they really do leave out a lot of a lot of holes in their story, and I get the feeling that there's a lot more holes in the during the game than, like, I believe that the actual story that they've written up for Black Desert contains more than the game shows. It's just that I have the feeling that they're just not showing enough during the actual game. And also, what is shown in game is oftentimes limited, hidden behind huge knowledge grinds. I mean, I think that has to be one of the most horrible ways to do storytelling in games. Where am I supposed to take this? Oh, I can enter buildings with luggage. Anyway, yeah. So I think the story that they've Black Desert Online has written can cover some of the holes that the games have left, but it's just that they're just so bad, inept at storytelling that is. It's because that they are so inept at storytelling that they've left out more holes than there actually are. And even with what is shown in game, as I mentioned earlier, the knowledge grind eliminates motivation for most players to press on to find out about the lore. And even then, even after all those humongous knowledge grinds, players are only given like one or two very brief text boxes explaining a miscellaneous aspect of a character or geographical location and such. Backwards Online has been making more of an effort in writing character lore at least, although it's not reflected in game at all except for during Awakening Quest. Yeah, that reminds me. I mean, the original lore that they had for the cities, like the Heidel story, Valencia story, Calpheon story, and such, they seem to have at least okay writing, but the story, the newer story for awakened characters, awakened weapons, they kind of seem just rushed and phoned in, from what I can tell. They just don't have the same engagement as the story I had for the original cities that were presented before the game released.
그 비슷한 구절이라면 들어본 적이 있어. 다녀왔군.
So yeah, this is the prince that is now the crowned king of this kingdom. I probably should have saved that quest line for a stream, but right now I'm just too much in a hurry to go through the quest and levels as much as possible. You know, I've been getting small hints that the developers of LostArk, when it comes to their efforts in trying to liven up the story, I think I've had little hints that made me suspect that they've taken a lot of hints from Witcher 3, and my interactions with the king is really cementing that suspicion. Right now, the quest is demanding me to learn how to bow properly. I mean, for those who have played the section for meeting the emperor, you should know what I'm talking about right now. Because there were other parts of interactions that were required from me during quests that involved interacting with the then Prince King. The only awakening story I like is the Valkyrie awakening storyline. Yeah, regarding awaken weapon quest lines, I think at least the original 6 characters that were shown during early development, that were shown or at least mentioned during early developments. I think the awaken weapon quest story, those were at least those weren't didn't feel that rushed. I mean, they did have uh, intricate connections with existing lore and locations. So there are a lot. They don't feel as rushed and phoned in as the newer character Awakened Weapon quests feel like. Like for example, any yeah, basically anything after Dark Knight.
루테라는 바꿀 거야.
Why did they have to place NPCs so far from each other? And moreover, in a city where I can't even use any of my mobility skills, nor my mount.
성의 벽, 전쟁의 영웅. 선임께
So I'm enjoying the game when I'm able to play it, you know, like when I'm actually able to fight something. But as you can already see right now, I'm spending so much time walking around, and that really just kills any motivation I have to play the game. I mean, the closed beta has been going over for over a week, but I'm still at level 30. I mean, I should have reached at least level 40 a long time ago, but it's just that, well, I guess part of the reason why I haven't been able to play as much is because I was busy with my job, but another reason is that, yeah, I just couldn't get myself motivated to play the game. Because I know that between all the all the fighting that I can do, which I do enjoy when I'm doing, there's going to be so much filler walking around. It's just exhausting. I was originally planning to catch up a lot during today, so which is a Saturday. But in the end, I spent most of my Saturday on playing Mario Tennis, and one thing I have to stress is that that is very significant because I hate any kind of sports game. I mean, seriously, you guys really have to appreciate how much I hate sports game, and yet during this Saturday I just spent most of my time playing the Mario Tennis demo instead of playing LostArk. And not because I didn't enjoy the combat, but because just the thought of running around so much exhausted me even before I started up the game. Yep, more running around. Oh man, if it wasn't for the horse, if they didn't add the horse during this closed beta, I think I might have just given up playing at all.
어디 봅시다. 이건
That's kind of sad. Yeah, I have a Nintendo Switch. Which has proven very valuable during my dispatch to another town over for my work, where I didn't have a stable access to a computer. So I spent most of my time playing Breath of the Wild when I was over there. I almost didn't realize there were supposed to be monsters here. So I guess kudos for their camouflage then.
해질녘에 밝게 타오르는 일곱 배를 우리는 에스더라 불렀네.
See, look at all this effort they've put into trying to engage us with the story, but the problem is, this is something that's only going to be meaningful through the first playthrough.
기상을 떠나 우리의 영원한
But in an MMO, everything is eventually is going to come down to the grind. And this is just going, all efforts like this that the LostArk development team put in to liven up the story will be put to waste. I mean, even if the player creates other characters and goes through a story, this is stuff that they're just going to skip. And that's one thing that closers addressed quite well, because the dialogue differs for every single character, and the story also to some extent is different for each team. The character classes in closers are largely divided into three teams, so each team has a slightly different story from each other, and the dialogue for each individual character are also different, even within the same team. Which which also provides a chance for characters to characterize themselves. And I don't really plan to stream much Nintendo Switch games. I mean, well, first of all, I don't have what should I call it, a license for that. I mean, people practically have to hand over their channels to Nintendo to properly show their content, which is a real big bummer. And another thing is that, well, honestly, there's not really much point for me to stream Nintendo games because that's something that's done by a lot of other people more skillfully at that too. One of the reasons why I'm streaming these games are because, well, it's like, it's kind of unique. I've got a unique position of being someone who's someone who can speak English and also understand Korean as well. So I'm in a unique position to be able to talk more in depth about Korean games.
제 스승님을 만나러 오셨다고요? 이것은 좋지 않은 시기에 오셨어요.
Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Crap.
뜻을 같이 할 자는 농장 서쪽에 집결지로 오라. 새로운 왕을 우리 손으로 만들어 보자.
Yeah, I am Korean.
금이 생기고 그 틈에서
which is the part where I can understand Korean.
수많은 사람들이 쓰러졌다.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I started this channel in the first place, so that I could inform people who don't understand Korean of Korean games. Something that I've kind of lost focus on because I haven't had enough time to play games lately. Which just made it all the more difficult because most, if not all, Korean games require a lot of grinding. Which translates into long gaming sessions.
저놈들 이어서 도망가는 꼴 좀 봐요.
Oh, well, it's 2:40 already. Yeah, but I think I better get ready to wrap up.
세상을 살릴 영웅들을 규합한 것은 평범한 인간이었다. 에스더를 이끌고 세상의 운명을 짊어진 자. 그의 이름은 루테란이었다.
Whoops. Whoa, what was that?
어느 날 아버지가 물었다. 왕이 되고 싶은지. 그 후 많은 것이 변했다. 왕자는 사라졌고 아버지는 왕좌에 앉았다. 그리고 나는 왕위를 위한 준비를 시작했다.
Oh yeah, they sure know that we work. It's just that they don't care. Since they know that people who do have time to go through all that grinds are the people who will be willing to spend tons of money on their microtransactions. So yeah, as you can see, the combat is entertaining while it lasts. But again, yeah, here I go walking again. It's just so... Oh, wait. Alright, got the quiz right. So yeah, the combat is so fleeting while it lasts.
뭐? 안 들려! 당신 이 늙은이한테 무슨 볼일이야? 도저히 이대로는 못 살아. 또 너야? 아직 안 갔냐? 뭐라는 거야?
Oh man, this mount is really a lifesaver. Okay, I see a dungeon on the end of this map, so I'll try to go through this story point as quickly as possible, and once I eventually reach the dungeon, I'll try to finish the dungeon before I end the stream today.
강세가 빨리 안정되고 있는 것 같아.
내 이름은 실리안. 정의 이름으로 쉐리트 널
Yeah, great. Now I have to
구하지 않겠다.
babysit kids as well.
전쟁도 끝났는데 어디 좋은 소식 없나? 다들 들으시오. 실리안 폐하의 말씀을 전하겠소. 법정 쉐리테 횡포는 이제 끝났다.
나 실리아는 루테란의 왕으로서 선언한다. 부당하게 국고로 들어온 재화는 모두 그대들에게 돌아갈 것이다. 루테란의 자랑스러운 백성들이여, 슈에리트와 같은 자는 두 번 다시 이 땅에 없을 것이다. 루테란의 명예와 긍지는 영원하리라.
국왕 실리안 폐하 대도.
젊은 폐하는 공정하신 분이군.
Why is my character looking at at a weird direction?
대단해, 정말 대단해.
기다리고 있었습니다. 바람이 당신의 것 이제 황혼이 오는 거예요. 어둠을 맞을 준비 끝나겠습니다. 노래를 시작하기 전에 이야기해둘 것이 있습니다.
Is this what I have to go through to learn a new music?
부신 새벽의 태양이 고개 숙여 경배하네. 영원한 우리의 왕 루테란, 당신의 안식처를.
So yeah, I really appreciate the effort, but I feel like it's all wasted on an MMO.
우리의 영이 저곳에 잠들어 있습니다. 대지 노래에 답해주고 있습니다. 태양이 경배하는 곳 라스트아 숲으로 가세요.
Do I have to return back to the palace?
스퀘어홀을 반드시 등록해주세요. 루테란을 여행할 때
Did they have to make this hallway so long? Oh yeah, and another evidence that I've taken to that they're using Witcher 3 as evidence is that they also have their own version of Gwent that players can challenge NPCs to.
선대왕의 무덤 위치를 알아냈군. 자네라면
Like,
해낼 줄
let's
알았어.
see. For example, the award for getting highest relationship points with the king is a card of himself. I don't have any cards to. Where did I see that? The reward list. No, this wasn't it. Yeah. So yeah. They got their own version of a card game as well.
선대왕의 무덤 위치를 알아냈군. 자네라면 해낼 줄 알았어. 생각해야 할 게 많아.
Looks like there's no quest related to that dungeon, so I guess I'll just have to run that dungeon without any quests.
사님께 경례.
I'm so sick of walking around. I'm just gonna teleport there.
외지의 젊은이
This is interesting. So we need 10 people's dancing, up to 10 people's dancing here. Okay, got 2. Hey, stop there. Yeah, spoil sport. Well, this is an interesting group quest, so I guess I could give points for this at least. But yeah, there's no way we're going to get 10 people here at this hour. What?
돈 많고 잘생긴 손님만 왔으면 좋겠네.
Okay, now that that quest is finally over with, let's just teleport over to the dungeon. I think it was... No, it wasn't here. Wait, come to think of it, was that dungeon in the right level range for me? I should have checked that before teleporting. Yeah, I guess there was in my range. Wait, no. Huh. Looks like I have to do a quest in order to enter this place. Let's just check if this stage of the quest is all I need to enter. If it doesn't take that long, I could just finish this and proceed with the dungeon.
낯선 사람을 보는 건 오랜만이군요. 무슨 일로 오셨나요?
저 안에 유야.
저 모습을 보고도 가시겠다면 굳이 말릴 수
저주받을 거야.
Looks like I'll be able to gain entry to the dungeon soon. So I'll just get through these quests quickly.
저주받았어. 유물.
See, imagine how much time I would have wasted just going to that statue and back to here if I didn't have my horse. Yeah, second thought, I want to solo this dungeon. Right, so apparently we're going to enter an ancient ruin where an important piece of artifact that will lead us to the Lost Ark is hidden. We finally retrieved two of the important keys to enter the uh, enter the ruin.
멈춰라. um이 붙어 있는 자는 이 숲을 넘을 수 없다. 돌아가라. 동고는 이번이 마지막이다.
I mean, the spirits here keep telling me to go back, but since I've brought the 2 key pieces, shouldn't that be enough proof that I have right to be here? Okay, so that was an interesting encounter for a mid-level boss.
강인하구나. 아크에 다가갈 자격이 있는 영혼이로다. 영혼의 등대로 오거라.
Right, so I finally proved my worth.
자, 등대의 불을 밝혀주겠다. 빛의 길로 나아가라. 빛을 따라가거라. 그 랜턴은 어둠을 걷어내 널 루테란 왕의 안식처로 인도할 것이다.
Have to select one of the two passes. Okay, that's interesting. So I've got, I guess they've got some kind of branching path going on. Like, also, I'm pretty sure it's not gonna affect the story in any way. Let's go with right. Guess I'm meant to escape from this. And where's the stone I have to break? Oh, I have to kill them this time. Alright, that was simple enough. 3 passe. Let's go through the center one. See, as I said, they've really put a lot of effort into their presentation. Crap, do I have to get rid of this guy first? Or is it one of those cases where I have to take down their HP at a similar pace? Looks like I have to get rid of the yellow one first. Ah, so this is the part where we've seen on the trailer. Well, so much for keeping out the unworthy. I don't think I have my skills properly equipped to fight a boss. doesn't seem to be much of a boss. So I was supposed to use that time. Man, this battle is very difficult to aim.
기다렸다. 나의 자랑스런 후예여. 빛의 길을 따라 나를 찾아왔구나. 느껴지는구나. 악의 기운이 세상을 어둠으로 물들인 사악한 힘이. 이것은 대악마 카제로스를 봉인했던 태초의 빛. 그대에게 세상을 지킬 힘, 아크를 맡기겠다. 세상에 흩어져 있는 6개의 아크를 찾아라. 그리하여 세상의 빛을 어둠으로부터 지켜내거라.
Right, so that was something. Alright, so I guess that's it. That'll be it for today's stream. I'm just gonna conclude this quest and see where it takes me. And I'm not really sure right now, but I'm hoping to be able to do another stream in the morning once I get up.
에르미아 도서관입니다. 정숙해 주십시오. 오랜 시간이 걸렸지만 드디어 첫 번째 아크를 찾았군요.
I'm just gonna take the portal whenever it allows me.
스퀘어홀을 반드시 등록해 주세요. 루테라는 여행하고
Wonder what kind of group quest is awaiting here. Oh. We've only got 3 people. One, two, three, four, five. 2 more. Just 2 more. I wonder what the reward is. Huh. I guess this quest is bust. And through the mercilessly long hallway again.
번째 아크를 찾았다니 대단한 걸. 이제 아크를 안전하게 보관하는 일이 남았군. 드리미아 도서관입니다. 정숙해 주십시오.
지식이 본체의 책이 있으신가요?
Alright, yeah, I guess that's it. Enough for today. So I'll be ending the stream here and try to do one last stream as soon as possible, as soon as I get up. Right, so thank you for watching.